Justice are what a lot of people think Daft Punk is. A lot of people would say that Justice took the French house genre to the next level, but I would have to disagree, not with the fact that Justice are fucking revolutionary and basically came up with the glitch up sound like 5 years before anyone else was doing it, but with the label French house, because like Justice are like objectively not house. I think French touch is probably a better description because Justice are objectively French. It's pretty fucking weird that like 90% of like funky EDM artists are French. Like fucking Justice, Daft Punk, Madeon, The Noisy Freaks, Stardust, Breakbot, Chromeo. I guess technically Chromeo are French-Canadian, but I feel like I can probably get away with saying that's the same shit because I doubt that there are any violent Quebecois nationalist guerrillas out to get me. Okay, step 1 is samples. So first off, set the tempo to somewhere between 110 and 120. Find a couple songs with bits that sound cool. I've chosen I Keep Forgetting by Michael McDonald because it's a good song, and also Party Rock Anthem because it's funny. So theoretically you should be using vinyl because vinyl sounds a tiny bit better, maybe. But I've just YouTubed to MP3 both of the tracks anyway because it's like $40 cheaper and the original artists aren't going to be getting any royalties either way. The music industry is definitely fucked. Then you want to pitch them so they're in the same key and chop them up by some means. I've used Logic's quick sampler to make a little riff like this. Make sure the two sampling tracks are roughly the same level and bounce the whole thing in place. A big part of Justice's sound comes from emulating like AM radio. So basically just chuck a shit ton of compression, limiting a little bit of saturation. I think I've got some phaser and a comb filter. And also a really hard EQ, chopping the top and bottom end. Also, if you want, you can like collapse it to mono so it sounds like it's like coming out of one speaker. And then get a 4-bar clip of it and automate all the effects so it kind of feels like it's increasing in quality. Okay, so step 2 is the drums. So get a kick like this, then get a snare like this, also get a little pre-snare thing like this. Then make a pretty simple hi-hat pattern and make the speed do some weird shit at the end of each phrase to make it sound like it's glitching. You can use a different hat sound there if you want. Alright, swag. That is probably it for drums. Okay, step 3 is the drop. With Justice, I don't know if it's really fair to call it a drop because there's no like build up or anything, but I don't know, it's the main bit. Get a bass sound like this. I put a preset in the sample pack, but there's no point because the whole thing is basically post-processing anyway. The default sound is literally just a saw wave with a tiny bit of FM and some noise. Next, get this slap bass sound. Luckily for Logic users, it is a default sound. Somehow Justice managed to make the entirety of their debut album on GarageBand, which is to Logic what the vibe they give to 11-year-olds is to the contents of your local Method's crack pipe. Anyway, I've added some compression, some downsampling and bit crushing, a little bit of OTT, a strong limiter, and a little bit of EQ to get rid of the harsh, shitty sounding frequencies. Next, I made a little drop riff that kind of draws from the intro sample thing. The structure of the drop as a whole, like a macro scale, should be kind of progressive, like adding in like new subtle elements all the time. Like I've got like a quiet hit, some radio noise, some more glitch effects and other parts. And this kind of little like wob thing, which I made in Serum. It's pretty simple, it's just this. It's got a bit of bit crushing and limiting and OTT in post. Also in the second half of the drop, put this rising thing where like the sync and pitch keeps getting higher. Alright, that's probably it for the drop. Alright, now, step 4 is our post-processing. So you want to send all your drop instruments to one output, and then sidechain that to the kick and the snare. On the sidechained output bus, add a little bit of tape emulation, a tiny bit of OTT, and a fuck ton of limiting. Like, these guys were so fucking irresponsible with what they put in their master buses. The entire thing is pumping like, something that pumps a lot. On the drum output, have a compressor rather than a limiter to conserve the transients. Also put a bit of bit crushing to give it that extra crunch. I also have some tape emulation and an OTT. And with that, I think it's done. I gotta stress, this is more of like a dive into how Justice actually achieve their sounds than like a tutorial on like how to compose something good. I think I made this in like an hour. If I could do something genuinely Justice tier in like an hour, I wouldn't be needing to do YouTube tutorials. Anyway, here's the finished track. Oh boy, the new song by Justice. Yep, I cannot wait to listen. All right.